All right. Hey, Naz. So this is the first job up. Very nice emerald. Size 11, 18 karat yellow, deep V split shank. So it's kind of a 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. I never know if people know what that means. Oh, I've got everything turned off. Okay, so there's my finger rail. So if I take a line from 0 to there, like the face of a clock, that's 12 o'clock. And then, so it'd be 30-degree increments. So 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So the split shank is a 9 to 3 o'clock. It's going to start over here, finish over there. The bottom's going to be a solid shank. All right, so that's what we're doing. And I noodled with this on Friday and didn't like anything that I came up with. So when I do a halo, I don't like any of the tables to be in the same plane. I always want, you know, when the light hits it, it looks much more interesting if all of the tables are, you know, at a slightly different angle from each other. So when the light hits, if they're all flat and the light hits, they're all in highlight or they're all in shadow. You know, they're all kind of glassed over or they're all dark. But if you put each stone at a slightly different angle, you don't have that. So you can see I was starting to, you know, just put a little bit of a, it'll look, you know, kind of stair step flat, like this stone is very stair step. But I just want to give it a little bit of an angle so those stones end up at a little bit different of an angle. But I did not like anything that I came up with. So I have kind of some guidelines set up already. I've got the stone scanned. When I scan a stone, especially an emerald, I want as little done to it as possible once it gets in the setting. So I increase the scale on this by 1% to overcut the seat. Usually I let the setter cut that last. My goal is for the setter just to skin the printed part, take off the stair step lines. But when it comes to an emerald, I don't want it going in and out of the mounting. Same with tanzanites. I don't want them in and out of the mounting, in and out of the mounting. So I'll just go ahead and overcut the seat. That way he can polish away the stair step lines, and the first time it goes in, it should have a fairly snug fit. I guess I could do that for every stone, but my instinct is to leave. Metal can be taken away, can't be added. So I always like to let the setter go that last 1%. So I want to have, I've got my angles laid out here. So that's 7.5 degree there. That's half of 7.5, so 3.75 there. And then I want it to drop down a little bit to the corner and rise back up to the center. I'm just not sure how I'm going to do that yet. But I've got my coffee and I'm going to start playing. So I am going to turn off the stone because we don't need to see that. And all the scratch work I did earlier, I'm just going to leave that locked. And I don't know exactly, I'm lucky on this one because I get to use whatever stone sizes I want. So they like yellow diamond. That was a pair with a double halo I did in the counter. And that used 1.5s, 1.4s in that halo. So that's the size I'm trying to get around, but I've got control over this. Another thing is this is a size 11. And this stone is 11.6 on the long. I'm going to hit this. I want to be over 20 millimeters. And that always makes me nervous, you know, going over 20 millimeters. So I'm going to try and like taper that down. So I may sacrifice the stone speed to, sacrifice the stone size so I can keep the whole thing under 20. She wants a big ring. But anything over 20 just makes me nervous from a wearability point of view. You know, size 7, anything over 16 millimeters makes me nervous. 11, 12, 13, over 20 makes me nervous. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. If I look at my guidelines right now, I am well above. Yeah. So that's 23 millimeters. This is the line I want to keep an eye on right there. Let's just set that to 10 in the Y. And then I'm going to put that on my 0 layer, which is my reference layer. And that should probably go on 0 too, so it's not in the way. Okay. So I think what I should do, rather than try and like edit all of these to be a certain slope, I should just define a base surface with the slope that I want and then project those curves onto it so I can edit all of these guys in a flat layout and then project onto a surface. So that, you know, 3.75 degree angle and that 7.5 degree angle, we want to take that around and then also raise it up here, low, up. So let's see what we can do with that. I'm going to do control point curve. And then let's just do this. Let's go between there and there, on there, and on this line. Hit one in the middle, towards the end there, between these two, there. And then how many did I do on this side? I can always come back in and add. Let's just hit the midpoint and the end. Okay, so we know we want, not you, we know we want those guys to be up at this point. Not really easy to edit though, is it? Having all these marks right through here. This is where I really start missing VSR. Because you could just smooth and it would even all these out. So you had a nice gentle taper down. Am I missing a point from this side? Oh. Where are we missing the point from? Oh, I didn't snap that one. Okay, so we're going to set that XY to there, and then we're going to say insert control point. There we go. And we want to put that right about there. Okay. So that and that need to be at the same Z. And then this one needs to be at turn project off there. This one needs to be there, and then we can grab both of those and move them up. All right, now we've got it's a little more gradual of a slope, but I still don't really like it because it just hits too hard at the end. So what I'm going to do is take all that and we're just going to scale 1D. And then we're just going to take these and try and scale them 1D as well. So we get a little flatter curvature through here. And then we can, let's see, scale 2D from there. And that's the end of that reference point to, oh, did I do copy? I did not. Okay, so let's put that. Yeah, I don't mind copying there. Copy that to there. And then scale 2D off of 0. And I want project back on from there to there. And then lock history, no. Move that from there to, let's do set Z, there to there. All right, let's see what kind of base surface this gives us for projecting onto. That is really tight through there. We need to fix this. So this needs to go to the midpoint on there. That needs to start there. That goes somewhere in the middle. That needs to go somewhere in the middle. This needs to go on the edge. And then we want to go, yep, along. Along this line to there. And then we can loosen this up too. We can back these off. That can go back to there. Now, and this is just the projection surface, so we don't actually need to make it this tight in the corners here either. And we can ease off on these corners just a little bit. Now we need to do another one for down here, but I don't know exactly where that one's going to start. Probably somewhere in this neighborhood. Oh, this is all flat. I need to change that. This needs to... See, this is what I'm talking about. This whole thing is just a pain in the butt. I don't like any of this. I hate it. I want that first curve I did. This one, I want to save that. Hate it. All this, hate it. Hate it. This guy, go back to being flat. Like, that's the curve that I want to represent. Yeah, that's the curve I want to represent each of these. But there's got to be an easier way to get a little bit of a curvature going here. And I think what I'll do is this. Somewhere out to there. Stupid. Okay, so the first curve needs to be right about there. Actually, let me extend this line so I get... And this is where I like snappy dragging really a lot, because figuring that out, I can just use snappy dragging to pop that into place. And the same with the other one. Where does it intersect this line, which is where I want that to be? Well, I need to put the gumball on the corner and then snap it right there, and now they intersect. Okay. So now when we loft those two, and this is a much easier edit to get these 2 points with a little bit of a dip in the center. Here's where I don't like snappy dragging. Everywhere else, turn snappy dragging off, bring that down. Just going to lock that so it's not in the way. Points on. Let's move those back so there's more room for the bending action. Okay. This can come down a little bit more than that one. This is going to be one of our, I'll make a new layer for it. Halo pull targets. Let's make that a dark gray. And then set that layer. Now, I think this is where we're going to be in. So that's a base surface that covers, you know, this whole thing. I know we're going to be somewhere in here, whether I use 1.3s, 1.4s, 1.5s, this shape will cover all of those. And then we can do the same thing. So I'm going to grab all three of those and say copy, and then I'm going to hide them. I'm going to say paste, and now I can do the same thing, but for 7.5 degrees. So this is on 0. I should probably throw this on 0 too. Change object layer to 0. Take this one and do the same thing. Just expand it out, and then put this guy. Let's see. So I know it's going to start, let's get it out to here, and this one out to somewhere in this range. So scale 2D, let's get that out to there. Let's get this off of 0 out to somewhere in there. And then we will snappy dragging, relocate gumball. And then we want it to intersect with this. And this one, relocate gumball. Okay, so now we've got our 7.5 degree and our 3.5 degree with a little bit of slope to it. So all the stones are not on the same, all the stones are not on the same plane. It's just a little thing. Anybody looked at it would say that they were all planar, but the way the diamonds will sparkle, you'll see that the halo surface is always changing normal. So this normal is always changing through here. It's never constantly pointing in the same direction. Okay. So now I can make my guidelines like this and then project onto that surface and not have to worry about, point editing all these little points. So let's take all of this and hide it. And then turn on this head layer and everything that I had going on here. And let's just delete that. I don't think I want to reuse any of that. Delete that and start over. Okay. So this is our primary control curve. That is the shape of the stone, which I did earlier. But that is the basic shape of our stone. I have it moved a little bit off center by like 1/10, so that the prongs take the same bite. It's a little bit asymmetric, but the prongs take the same bite out of the stone, and that's this little prong template that I just imported. But we don't need to see that for now. Okay, so that is our primary control. I'm going to turn the stone back off. Now, I know I want one. You can look at the drawing and see that you need a little bit of metal around the stone to make up so that you have a emerald cut corner. If you let your prongs hang over, they get in the way of these stones on the dog ear. So you need to put a little bit of a gap between the two. I'm going to say, let's just embiggen. And our Halo pull targets. Let's make another sub layer for the curves, because I want to dump all those off onto that layer. Oh, curve, 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 curve. Dump those onto Halo pull targets. That way I can turn that off while I'm working. What is this? What is this? I thought I got rid of everything. I did not get rid of the junk. Delete those. Delete that. Okay. So first things first, all of these better be on the same Y. And these should all be on the same X. All right, they should have been, just making sure. So let's offset loose and do that by 0.5 millimeter, okay? So for my prongs, that kind of gets us through the back half of that. And then yeah. But this is what happens with offset loose. Sometimes it's a little bit better if you extract a control polygon. Okay, and by control polygon, I mean a straight line that represents the control points, and then offset that loose by 0.5. And then that's a little bit better, not great, but I'm gonna have to go back and fix all of these up anyway. No, this is the problem with offset loose. It simplifies curves. So how do I want to do this? That's the curve I want. I'd really love to be able to use offsets and make this easy to update. Let's hide that and turn our prongs back off. Nope. This is garbage. That's not going to work. And if I just do a regular offset half, then, you know, it does all this. Both of those are garbage. I don't want. So let's do this. Let's explode this into its individual pieces. Okay, so that's one piece. Join that. Join that. Join. Join, and then the center. Join. Okay, so now I've got each of these curves. Now I can just do an offset. 0.5 millimeter, 0.5 millimeter, 0.5 millimeter. And I think my first set of stone sizes are going to be 1 point. I'm really worried about this. So let's just measure how much space we have left after we do that. Measure the distance from there to there. So project. Measure distance from there to there. All right, so we got 3, 4, 6, 2. So using our speed crunch, 3.642. If we used, well, let's figure out our borders. We need 1/4 millimeter on each side of the first step, and then we need a 1/4 millimeter on the inside of the next step. And I like that. Where's my picture here? Okay, so we need a 1/4 millimeter from there to there. We need a 1/4 millimeter from there to there. 1/4 millimeter from there to there. And then I like for my outside edge to be 4/10 on a halo. Fishtail, I use a 1/15, but on a halo, I guess I could use a... Now, I like a 1/4 because these are stepping down. And if it's narrow and a step down, the setter really has a hard time getting in here to cut prongs. It's 1/15 versus a 1/4 millimeter. It's not that big of a deal, but I know if I give him less than a 1/4, he's going to complain about, you know, trying to get in there to use a tool. Outside edge, I don't care. So that could be a 1/15. We could do a 1/15 of a millimeter there, but then we want 0.4 on this outside. So I think I'll just leave that as is. So back to speed crunch. So we've got the 1/4 and the 1/4. We've got another 1/4. So we could just say times 3. Plus 0.4 on the outside edge. So that's our extra spacing. We'll go ahead and say 3.642 minus our answer. So that leaves us with 2.5. We take off a minus a 1.3, leaves us with, we're going over 20. I mean, I don't want to use anything smaller than a 1.3. And so for the next step, it would be plus 1.3 plus probably a 1.5. So that's all of our borders. That's our stone sizes. And that's 3.95. So that means from here, 3.95 will put us just over 20 millimeters in height. The north-south width of this ring is going to be, it's going to be just shy of 21 millimeters. But I think that's what we got to go with. So, the next offset we need to do, let's offset this. So 1.3 plus the 0.25, that's 0.5 millimeter, 1.8. So we need that, we need that, we need that. And then we're going to do a speed crunch. Where'd you go? And so a 0.25 plus 1.5 plus 0.4. And I don't know that this is necessarily going to be the final, because I got to fit the stones to this curve and I might need to change them. But for right now, we're going to stick in 2.15. 2.15. Offset 2.15. And I'm using those numbers even though they're at an angle. Like if you wanted to figure out, like how long this offset actually needed to be. So the first one was 1.9 at an angle of 3.75. So SOHCAHTOA cosine of the opposite, cosine of 3.75 of the opposite or adjacent over the hypotenuse. We don't know the adjacent. So we would multiply by the hypotenuse, which we knew was 1.8. So I offset by 1.8 and I should have offset by 1.79. Not a big deal for that one. For the other, cosine of 7.5 times, and that one was 2.15. So instead of offsetting 2.15, I should have done 2.13. Not enough that really matters, but when you have like a 15-degree angle, then I would figure this out. Like if I know for certain what my thing's going to be, yeah, I would make that offset 2.07 so that when it angles down, it'll be 2.15. But these angles are low enough that I can offset this way. Okay. And then I just need to fix up all of these curves. So these guys all need to get rebuilt to degree 1 with select master curve. This guy. Yeah. Oh, I didn't turn off lock history. Try that again. Rebuild. Select our master curve is this one. Okay. And then rebuild. Select master curve. This one. Okay. So now when we look at these points, you know, I really like select master curve when dealing with straight lines. It does a very good job. Rebuild, select master curve, this one. Okay. And then we just scale these up. Scale 1D from project is on there to there to there. There to there to there. And you can do asterisk scale 1D and it will repeat it. I think it's asterisk. Yep. And then same thing for here, asterisk scale 1D. Okay, good. That worked. Gotta make sure don't have anything selected when you start doing the repeat command, because it'll just keep trying to repeat it on the same geometry. Okay, and this point in between, what are you? Open polyline with 3 points. Okay. So now we can just quickly asterisk line from there to there, there to there. I think I misclicked. I did. Now all of these guys and all of these guys, we want to rebuild, select a master curve, this one, and tell it okay. And now when we look at those points, it should match those points. Huzzah. Okay, now these will be much easier to work with in the future as I change things, because then I'll just scale. Will they be easier to work with? Am I lying to myself? Might be lying to myself. I might want to keep these separate and use join copy to create the actual curve so I can keep them separate. I think that's just going to be easier. Well, doesn't cost me anything to do it. So we're going to do it. Put that on a control. Let's say join copy. Select those new curves. New curves. Only one. Okay, let's see what we got going on here. Ah ha ha. All right, so let's undo join copy and get all of these guys. all of these guys at the same plane. Set the Z, let's put them way up here because we're going to project down onto our surface, so we don't need them. We don't need them getting in the way of the other stuff. Okay, now they're all on the same plane. Join copy. Copy. 4 open curves, that's correct. And we're going to dump those onto the junk layer. Control junk. And we're going to take those 4 curves and say curve control points from polyline. And we're going to make it a degree 5 curve and not delete the input. And then we get our nice round curves off of that. And we are going to take those new curves and put them onto the curves layer. So now I can turn off my junk, and I've got my control curves for editing, and I've got the curves for projecting. I don't know if I need to do that. I don't know how hard it's going to be exactly to edit this later as I change stone sizes, but better safe than sorry for now. Okay. Let's set up our stones. So I said I wanted to try using 1.3 and 1.5s. Yes. 1.3s and 1.5s. If you guys don't know what speed crunch is, it is a really good little calculator, and you can make your own things. Like I wrote this one, FK for 14 karat. You get the volume out of Rhino times 0.013, and that is the specific gravity adjusted to cubic millimeters instead of cubic centimeters. It's 100. It's 100 less than. And then I have EK for 18 karat and PT for platinum. Fahrenheit to Celsius, I use that one a lot. And Celsius from Fahrenheit. But you can write your own little functions and use them. So I really like Speed Crunch. And it is available in Chocolatey Package Manager if you use Chocolatey. If you don't use Chocolatey, look into Chocolatey. It's a great little thing for managing the hundreds of little stupid apps you have on your computer. Okay. So these are my stones. Now, what I would like to do is get an offset on them so I can see the space between. So I'm going to go to my spacer layer here. I'm going to say offset. And I want a 1/4 millimeter offset on all of these guys. And I'm going to take that and join it there. Group. Okay. And then we lock our spacer layer, hopefully forever. Okay, so that'll show us girdle to girdle if we have enough space between stones, which will be really tricky through these dog ear corners. So I was thinking this would be smoother, but when it rebuilt, it brought these right to the edge. Huh. I want to smooth that out a little bit. I have Snappy dragging on still. Snappy off. Okay. That's a little bit better. I think I like that more than just having that sharp bend, you know, two sharp bends. I think I want to have more of a fluid shape like that. So let's grab all of our control curves, select all, nope. Select objects and turn the points on. Let's see. So that's kind of in line. We want that to come down, that to come down, and that to come down. Up here, just kind of roughly making it into a line here. That I want to come over about to there. Okay. That looks a little bit better. Let's turn off our controls and just look at the curves. Okay, I like that better. Okay. We grab this and this. Now these are grouped. So if it's saying, it's selecting, even though the spacer's off. I'm gonna grab this, copy, and then paste a bunch of times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That gives us 9 stones to work with, and that should be enough. We'll do 10 just to be certain. And then I can say spacers are off, so I'm going to Control Shift select these. So now I'm not selecting the curves. Make sure lock objects is on, and then I want to say distribute. Distribute, and the spacing between, I want to do a 1/4 millimeter, and in the x-axis direction. Okay, so we got 10 stones, and if I change the size, that 1/4 millimeter offset is tied to this stone, which is why I did copy paste instead of array. If I would have arrayed these, they would have all been tied to this stone and this curve, which is fine, except when I go around these cut corners, I may change one stone size to be a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller to go around a curve. So that's why I want these spacers all tied to this stone and not all the stones. I don't know that all the stones are going to be identical. So that's why I'm doing it that way. Okay. And same thing here. I want to Control Shift select, sub object select. And then we are going to distribute spacing 1/4 millimeter in the x-axis. And what is this? How did that get in there? Well, it's fine. They're all they're all where they need to be. And then I should have some stone layout curves ready for this. This one we do not need. We should have a stone layout curve here. I'm just going to embiggen that for right now so I can see it. And then now we just need our surfaces to go onto. So let's turn our pull targets back on. Now for the first one, these first guys, I want to turn the curves on, and let's turn the stone on as well so we can see. Now these two need to be right here underneath. So we're going to copy those to, that's kind of the girdle. We want to go 1/2 millimeter down and put those guys. So we're going to go right there. And this is left over from something I was doing earlier, but I'm pretty sure it's a 0.5 millimeter curve. Yep. So we want to take and move that to there. And now this first plane, we want that edge to be at the bottom of there. So we grab its parent's curves. Thank you, Emerald. You can go away now. So these pull targets, we want this curve and that curve, and we want to move them down so that they intersect this. And that will give us a 0.5 millimeter step to this target. So we'll take this and say project loose onto the surface. And that gives us our first set of flow targets. And then let's go ahead and set up the other one while we're here. We want to take this 0.5 millimeter step and copy that from there to there. And then we want to take this and say project loose, project curves loose onto there. Okay, and now we can turn off our pull targets for the time being and go into loft. Loft. Oh, we didn't adjust this one, but that's okay. We'll do it in a second. And we're going to do straight sections. Do not simplify. Okay. Okay, we didn't adjust that pull target. So we want to take its curve and its other curve and do the same thing where we move it from where it's currently intersecting to the end. Turn our pull curve targets off. And now you can see how we, the normal on this is always changing. I think it starts too slow and then goes too deep. And this one's, well, this one is following the other, which I guess is okay. It's supposed to be imperceptible to the naked eye, but definitely there. So when we check the normal, how do you view the normal? I guess I can do dir. And you can see how the normal, if you're looking at the normal in this window, you can see how it's slightly changing as it goes. So boop, 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 boop. Then we get down here and it's just too flat right there. Okay. We're going to throw that onto our surface layer. This and this are just reference. I'm just going to delete them when we get done with it. Okay, so let's turn our curves off, lock our surface, and then go back to our pull target that was easy to edit. And we don't need to see these surfaces, we just need to see the curves. And let's start with the first set. So that would be this one and this one. Turn the points on and go about editing these. So I think it starts a little too slow, so I'm going to back that off. And I'm going to back that off as well. Wait, is something wrong here? No? Okay. I got confused for a second. All right, so doing that, it starts quicker, and then I think it's going down too far. So let's grab those two and bring them up. So now we get something a little more gentle, which is what I was wanting. Okay, and then we'll do the other two. Points on. bring that down into there. Bring that down like we have the other. What? Okay. These should all be kind of in the middle of this. If they're not in the middle, I'll make them in the middle. Okay, and then let's look at, we want this one and this one. Actually, somehow I did better on the second set than the first. Are these all on the same plane? Set Z. Yep, those are all. I didn't bump it. Okay, I think that's good. I'm happy with this. All right, let's go to doing our stone layout so I can just go ahead and turn off that halo pull targets. And let's put these on and see how they do. So I'm going to just grab all of those, and it is selecting the curves because I'm not, each spacer is grouped with its parent curve, and I didn't sub-object select, so I have all of those. Oh, I need flow targets. So unlock this surface and grab an iso curve off of here. This one will be in the middle because it quarter millimeter edge on each side. For this one, it's not in the middle, it's just shy of the middle. And you know, that spacer will tell me if I need to adjust it because it's also a quarter millimeter offset. Grab those. Flow rigid groups no. Preserve structure, well, it's rigid, and then stretch is what I was looking for. That is our source curve. This is our target surface, and that is our target curve. And then we can start figuring out where this should go. So I think that this is 0.3 of a millimeter over the girdle, which is kind of standard for what I do. Yes, 0.3 over the other curve should be there. Yep. And then for this, let's see how this looks set on that stone, and let's see. Let's put it on that stone. Okay. Too close here, too close there. Let's see about between those stones. I mean, the distance from girdle to girdle is 285. That's a little bit over the quarter, but that's almost perfect. Okay. So the 1.3s, they line up nicely. We've got one kind of centered on the prong. We've got two that are kind of in this little wedge. I'd love for them to be centered in the wedge, but that's close enough. You're never going to get them perfect doing this kind of emerald cut thing. Let's flow these. Same thing, rigid, stretch, source curve, target surface, target curve. And then we'll do, so we've got this one starting on, let's set this to start between two stones. Okay. And for the other end of this curve, For the other end of this curve, let's have it stop on a stone. Oh, no. Wrong one. This one. Let's have it stop on a stone. Okay, too much space in there. Let's have it stop on that one. Oh, that looks pretty good. Well, that was quick and painless. So we got a nice stagger here. You can't maintain it because they have to, they'll be in line there, but then we've got a nice stagger there. I really like, that worked out much better than I ever thought it would. Let's look at our spacer curve. We are almost on the wall. We've got the extra space on this wall. Beautiful. I'm very happy with this. Like I said, I wish this was, you know, a little bit over here and a little bit turned more, but that is not bad for this kind of double halo setup with a hard corner. Hard corners are hard. Okay, so we do not need that stone. We do not need either one of those stones. Let's unlock our spacers and then grab the parents and then grab their children. Oh, doggone it. Okay, so the two on the end, this guy and this guy. We want that one. We don't want this one. Select children. Always easier to go select children. Oh, spacers locked. Okay. So we've got the spacers. We got the ones we don't need. Delete. All right. Lock my spacers again. And then I can move this so that this stone, I don't have to, but it will bother me if I don't, you know, have both of those guys starting there and going over there. Okay, so next I want to grab this, select children. Why is that lighting up? Control click. All that's on 0 and locked. It just lit up for no reason. Okay, let's isolate these and get them into shape. So we want all of these, but not that one, mirrored over to the left side. Oh, I did want that mirrored over. Okay, but going the other way, we want all of these minus those two mirrored to the bottom. And then we will just make one big happy group out of these. How many stones is that? 64 blocks. 64. Can that, is that really how many stones? What does my estimate say here? Estimate was for 40 stones. And I'm at 64. That's going to change the estimate. Damn it. If I use any bigger stones, I'll be well past the, I mean, that's the 20 millimeter line. And that is like quarter millimeter above it. If I use any bigger stones, it's going to make me well past that. Would cut down on the number of stones, but Well, I'm going to save this job and have to give the customer a call before I go any further. But you can see now how that slight little slope, it's more apparent in the stones, how none of the tables have the exact same normal. All the normals change ever so slightly as you go around. It looks like a flat, stair step, but it's not. Little tiny details like that make for a much more attractive piece. Even though you saw how much more work I had to put into it just to get here. Like, it would have been much easier just to make this straight. Much simpler to do that. I wouldn't have had to do this whole pull targets thing, but doing that whole pull targets thing makes this very editable. I've got one set of controls for, the shape of it, and one set of controls for the curvature of it. I like splitting up things like that, because if I tried to edit the curve in here and then I was planning on having to do like 2 or 3 different stone size attempts. I did never imagine, and this will never happen, where this comes out perfect first time. Never happens. So I was fully planning on having to edit this, edit that, which is why I set up all this stupid stuff. So I had, targets for where each line should start and end. I didn't set that up for nothing. I just never thought I'd get it right first try. This is probably the first time that's ever happened. But anyways, we're going to save this, make some phone calls. I mean, it's a $15,000 emerald. I think they are going to be okay with going from 40 stones to 60, but that's more than a 10% change on, no, it shouldn't be more than a 10% change on the estimate. Whatever it is, I got to make a phone call before I go any further with this. So I am going to hit the be right back screen. Where is it? Oh, I can just do this. Haha. I'm going to save that off. And then I'm going to start our next job with a new file. And one more thing before I can turn it back on. Oh. Actually, I can turn it back on already. Turn back on. Turn back on. No, that's the webcam. There we go. Okay. So now I just need to bring in the next stone. So I scanned both of these at the same time. I had 2 emerald cut emeralds in my box. When it rains, it pours. That is the really nice one. This one is big, but it is kind of a mess of an emerald. Eric, what is the stone weight difference between your stone counts? The estimate was for 41.5 millimeters, and we ended up with 64 1.3s and 1.5s. So let's use the Excel. So I wrote this little Excel file, and the carat weight I get from a formula that I think I got from GIA. But so originally the estimate was for 41.5s. Now 41.5 should come out to a total carat weight of 0.563. And then this over here drops the last precision, which is what the scale would do. So I multiply by 100 to take the decimal point to, it would be 56.3. and then round down to take off the trailing, and then divide it by 100 to take it back to 0.56 from 56 after the round. So, and then whatever the carat weight is, or the price per carat of the stones, I plug into here if I'm doing an estimate. And usually this is to remind me that, hey, when you get to 270, you really need to start looking at those labels, because they go up. All right, so it was 0.56, and then if we go to 64, I think we would have 2 less of the 1.3s. So let's just split it in half. Let's just say 32 and 32, because I don't know exactly what it would be. So instead of 56 points, we get 75 points, but it's really the setting labor that is more concerning to me than they're probably going to go with nicer stones, something in the, I don't know, 600 a carat range. So 1350 versus, that's $300 difference. But then the setting difference, it's about, I think it's 15 a stone. So 15 times 24 extra, 360 plus what did I say, 380. So that's a $740 difference on the estimate. You know what? Hey, Lee, thank you for that comment. I'm about to do some that will be a little bit more like baby steps than the one I just did. The one I just did, I was kind of going fast because I thought I was going to have to tinker for a long time. Should I just keep going with that job? $740 on, I mean, it's a $15,000 emerald. It's not that big of a price difference. Okay, we keep going with that one. We finish it out. That's less than a 10% change. While I have this here, let me just go ahead and do this so I don't retrace my steps here. Let's isolate that. So this is the other emerald. Now, this is a set at the customer's risk. It is very fracture filled. So let's say there. Let's do that. We need to flip it over 180. And it is going to be going this way. So I put the thumbnail for this as no, not that picture. This picture. So the reference picture they gave me, it was very low res, but all these stones were in a line and they were different. This was a baguette with 2 rounds on the end. Very odd looking, unique. But I just emailed her if it would be okay if I move these stones up from the center line to like the top third, and I just sent her this little sketch and she said, yeah, I like that. But, you know, keep it more in a arc form. So I don't have to do the set in a straight line anymore. I should update the picture, but this is good enough. And then we're going to use a hollow bead for the chain to pass through and attach, and the bead will just sit over the attach point on this bezel. She was also quoted as 14 karat, and I said, no. 18 karat, or I don't want to set it. So we're going to do 18 karat on that. But this is what we're doing. So we've got 6.9 millimeter rounds. We've got this. I did a 2.5 scale on it when I was drawing all this out. So this is 2 scale. So that's what we're doing. But let me just put this position 0, 0, 0. I'm just going to save this off. Oh, we'll just leave it there. Okay, I need to hide my screen for 1 second, and then we can keep going. I had a be right back screen, but I don't know where it went to. It's not in here anymore. Okay, we got the thing back up. All right, let's keep going with it. So we've got this. I don't want to see these for right now. I don't need to see my spacers anymore because I've already checked that we've got enough space. So that can all go away. I am done with my control curves. Yes, but I still need my regular curves because I got to finish building this out. So I'm going to take this curve and I'm going to copy it north by 30 and then break the history on it. And let's turn on my base layers, which is this matches the finger size. And if I grab that finger rail, come over here, it is a size 11. Whenever I have something I want to make sure I remember, I put it in the object name. There is a properties that you can do on this, but it's really for code. You can put like your own properties in here. I just use the name field. So it's a size 11 with a 1/8 of a size for shrinkage, which that's what I worked out was my shrinkage factor for my investment. So it is a size 11, which includes an 1/8 for shrinkage. Okay, so this, we want to set the Z on that to there. And the dog. Hello, Ruby. Yes. I took you for a walk before we started. You need to go lay down. Go lay down. Go lay down. Go. Come on. Go lay down. Keep walking. There you go. Okay, so this, I want to scale the Y. Hit apply, and that will scale both of them the same. So now that we will have that, let's just flow this onto the ring and see how that looks. Well, we do not want it stopping there. We want to bring this out until we can get a loft on this and this just to kind of see where we're at. Man, this is going to be a big ring. I kind of like the shape on that. Now let's look at it from this side. Let's take and usually I would scale this, but I kind of want to keep this to be the same size. So I'm going to scale the base shape instead. so we get enough of the taper. That way, if I can copy and paste from here to here and be working with the same size stuff. So, all right, let's take and put that onto surface for the halo. Now we need walls. I don't want to put steps in the head. I'd rather it just be kind of a one surface. And you know what we have? I've never really done these pull targets before, but now that I have, I think I've got my underside already done. Let's do offset, surface. Let's do loose, solid no, flip it, distance 1.5. That seems like a good thickness for a head. Let's do the same on this one, flip 1.5. So this is where I need to end. That's where I need to start. Okay, so let's do an intersect. Intersect. That gives us one curve. We can delete that. And then let's see. Let's look at our stone. Turn this emerald on. So we need metal. We need metal to here. So let's take this first curve. And just do this. Let's do copy scale 2D to go into here. All right, now we're well within the stone. Lock it. Okay, and then we want to get down to about this Z. So I'm going to say copy to this Z here. And then we want to go to there. Let's just see what this loft looks like. Delete that. Not the prettiest loft I've ever seen, but I think I will... Oh, you know what? Take this curve, unlock, rebuild, select master curve. Not bad. Didn't do a bad job. Okay, there's for the inside of our halo. This is going to be a little thicker than I want. So I can just take and bump this up a little bit. I deleted that. What? Offset surface, flip all. We are a little thin right there. No. No. Lock. Not that one. That one. We know we got thickness to there. That'll be a little thin. And then I think that'll work out great. We can scale it down just a little bit. Scale 2D without a copy. Okay. So we can turn those pull targets off. Now we need this wall thickness, which is, let's see, we're going to have to put a plate in the bottom of this. This is too big to leave open. So we're going to have to do some kind of a decorative plate in here. Let's do this. Offset loose by 0.5. No, we need more than 0.5 for that wall thickness. Let's do 0.8. Let's do 0.9. And let's also see what an offset loose looks like. Loose, solid, no, flip all. Oh, that was a 1.5. Dope. Distance, 0.8. Flip all. I think I like offset loose better than using a curve to do it. Let's delete that curve, delete that curve. The only problem is we have to make this intersect all the way around. Lock, no. Just change my viewport so I can actually see what I'm doing. And now all of those are below the line. Lock, no. Take this one and this one. Let's isolate and go into trim. Unisolate. Go back to our shaded viewport. And now we've got the inside of the surface. Dump that onto our surfaces layer. And turn our stone off. And for this, we just need to finish it out with a loft, because we're going to use the stone as the seat cutter. Straight sections. Okay. Put that onto surf. So that's all my surfaces. And now if I do quad symmetry, which just does a X and a Y, just got a mirror copy, yes, from 0 to 0, 1 on the Y. So that's going to do the across the Y plane, and then it will do it X1, Y0 across the X plane, and then it just selects everything that I just did and puts it into a group. So never trust that when I click on one of these commands that it is the same one that you have, because most of these, like even like revolve, I always revolve 360, so why would I want to type that every time? Like all of anything you see on this might have something specified, like even the set XY. Well, I've got set X, right click is copy, set Y, right click is copy, and I actually Y yes, X no, Z no, copy no, Y yeah, blah 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 blah. I've got one of those for each, and then set XY, set XZ, set YZ, because I use them so damn much. I don't know what this one's for. I don't ever use it. Set point, pause. X yes, Y yes, Z yes, copy no. Okay. Copy yes, so what's this one? Oh, it doesn't specify anything. So I can repeat. If I just click this, it'll repeat the X and Y's that were set from the previous one. And it brings up the GUI. So the other ones, I've got the dash in front of it, which means GUI-less, right? So if you say set point, it brings up the thing. And if you say dash set point, It does not bring up the thing. It lets you do it from the command line. That's great for like doing blend curve. I don't want to see the blend curve thing when I'm doing an edit. So this is an auto edit. So if I do a blend curve between those two, and then I turn my lock off here, and I move this really close together, these points did not update the way that I think they should. It was fine when it was out here. All right, that's a nice blend. But you bring this closer together, and it doesn't reparameterize itself. So I made a button for it. If I click on that, it's done. It reparameterized at default, which is 50-50. If I actually want to edit it, that's this button, which just calls edit and pause for me to, you know, it's glowing now. I can click on it and then do the, which sometimes I need to, you know, if I'm doing an asymmetric, I need to do that. But if I just want to reset it back to default, boop. And I think everybody should have their own version of these. So it's in a separate toolbar. So this is my Rhino 7 main toolbar. And this is my kind of top, the way I move my mouse to get to here. And then I've got a right. If I move my mouse to the right, when I click that button, it launches this one, and move my mouse to the left. So I created all these toolbars by copying things off of the Rhino toolbars so that I don't mess up the original Rhino version of Revolve or Set Point. These are all my own Rhino 7 toolbars, and there's only 4 of them. I only have 4. But that's how I get the thing so fast. I move my mouse a millimeter to one direction to the other, and it will pull up that one. And then, you know, I made these little icons. Sometimes I get fancy. Export to 3D coat, export to Rhino 5, select open surfaces. You know, sometimes I make little icons. Okay, we don't need to see those anymore. So let's take and group those into a group. Let's put those into a group and put those onto our stone layout layer. Change object layer and turn that off. There's our head. These curves were for stone layout. They need to go on the stone layout layer. Stone layout. I said these little 0.5 millimeter guides can go away. This needs to go onto our halo curves layer. Okay, now everything is organized. I'm going to put those on the stone layout as well, because I don't want to see them while I'm working on everything else. So we got the head, we've got the inside of it. Oh, we did not trim this. Let me make sure lock is on. So if I trim the wrong one, it won't actually do it. There, I got the one. So now this will all join up into a solid. We've got our prongs. We've got our gems. We are pretty close to being done. We need to do a cage for the inside of here, a plate. So this isn't just purely open. We need to do the split shank. Let's see. You guys got a preference on what we do first? How long have we been going? Doesn't tell me anywhere. You want to do the plate next? Okay, let's do the plate next. So that is my outside line. So whatever I need to do, I just don't cross over that for the plate. And then how fancy do we get? Do we want to do just a grid, or do we want to do do you want to do something like this? You know, that kind of shape. Maybe overlaid a little bit. Hmm. Point taken. Point taken. Both sides. Both sides. Did I do it? Yes. Okay. And then distance. I'm going to do 0.45. Both sides. This, let's offset by 0.9 because I think that was my wall thickness. And then these are the curves we edit. Okay, so let's bring that where we just kind of have, it'll attach right there. Okay. Point 0.8. It's not going to be perfect because of the way this flows on, but that'll be close enough, I think. Let's do mirror across and then mirror across here. Let's do the same for that. Well, we'll do the, yeah, let's do the same for that. Mirror across and then mirror across the bottom. I should also start a new layer and organizing things. So let's call this gallery. And let's take these curves and put those onto the junk pile. Ah, select last. Will it come up? No. put those onto the junk pile. I've got too many things expanded over here. Let me bring this down. And let's make the color of our gallery. I like this blue for galleries. Prongs a dark blue, so the customers can't see them so much when I show them this kind of picture. You know, when I show them something like this, the prongs don't stand out as much as the bright halo. Shanks I usually do red. And gallery I do bright blue, so it shows up through any gaps or openings, but there aren't going to be any on this one. You're having low quality on the video. It is, so this is a very widescreen monitor. But I'm putting up 15K per second, so there should be enough bitrate getting to YouTube. I don't know how YouTube is turning around and delivering it. Okay, so I don't, yeah, I want to lock junk for right now, just so I can edit this. We need something coming off here and something coming off of there. But I think I want to do opposite shape. So let's copy this. Oh, you know what? Unlock the junk. I'm going to copy sub-object select, copy that, paste it, and then deselect those guys, and now rotate that. Instead of copy rotate, I can use copy paste history to go ahead and get my curves like that, turn the points on, and let's just bring this up to there, bring that over. What is this? I think that's garbage. And I don't know of a good way of kind of previewing this. Like until I do a curved Boolean on this, I won't know if I actually like this pattern. But I do kind of like the, do I stream Rhino often? Not really, but I'm really behind, so I have a lot of jobs to catch up on the weekends right now. And when nobody's here, it's easier for me to stream than when I've got, you know, a million. God, if this was during the week, I'd have had 8 people knock on my office door asking me about some detail. Just, it would be impossible to stream during the week. And I don't like being here on the weekend playing catch up. But for the next couple Saturdays anyway, I will be here. Okay, I kind of like this. So I'm going to take this one and these. I'm going to copy, paste that too. I'm going to take this, this, and this, copy. Two selected sub-objects ignored. Why were they ignored? Let's ungroup this. Okay, I want this, I want this, and I want this. Copy. Paste. Rotate with lock on. Let's make double check lock is on. History lock is on. I want to rotate that from here to there. And then I want to put that like maybe in this corner, and then that needs to be on the center line. That needs to be on the center line and maybe up some. No, I don't want to get too thick right through here. It's the one thing is having so much coming in. This will just get to be a really, really thick spot. And I don't want that. That's what I'm saying. I can't really see how this is going to look until I do a curved Boolean on it. But let's go ahead and mirror that to the other side. And then mirror it to the bottom. Okay, so if we look at this with shaded, we should see that all my junk layers are on the junk and my controls over there. So now it's just a matter of, oh, I didn't actually put these onto control. These all need to go onto the control layer. Now I can just take and turn off my, oh, doggone it. All of those except the controls. Can't put them on. Well, here, I'll just promote junk to the tier up. So that way I can turn off control, take all the junk, call curve Boolean, and all regions, and then pick out the ones I don't want. Oh, that line's not long enough. Okay. Turn my controls back on and just bump this out till it intersects. All the rest of them intersecting. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Controls back off. Go again. Control curve Boolean. All regions. Boop, 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 boop. I don't hate it. I think it could be. See, it's a little thicker here than I wanted, but the way it actually plays out, I think it looks okay. I think that looks okay. All right, chat decides, do I take another pass at this or do you like it? This is a little, I've got less space on this side than this side. And now that I noticed it, turn my controls back on and just, while I'm not, you know what I could do? Just take this and move it over a little bit. Take that and move it over a little bit. And let's look at unisolate. So we just want to focus on that, and that. And now that looks like a better amount of space, more equal spacing. Okay, so our curve Boolean would be the newest objects. Damn it. Nope. Oh, it would be on our this layer. We could just delete that. Turn the control back off. I wish I knew of like a history way of doing this, but curve Boolean does not support history. So You just have to kind of wing this. Okay, I like it. Let's do the thing. Curve Boolean, all regions, and get to clicking. You know, I bet it would have been quicker to do it not all regions. Now that I'm looking at it, usually with most of the patterns I do, like I just overshoot by a mile. Thanks for stopping by. All right, isolate that. Okay. I like that. So now we put that onto our curves layer. And we are done with control. Well, let's turn everything back on. We're done with control. We're done with junk. And now we want to work with our curves to get this onto there. So we're just going to grab that and say extrude. Curve. I want to do 9/10 of a millimeter thick. Yeah, 9/10 of a millimeter. This solid is going to go onto our surfaces layer. I'll round off all of the sharp edges, probably in 3D coat, because if I try and do it in Rhino, it'll balk and have issues. Let's flow that onto there. Oh no. Okay, let's turn off this and look at it from the bottom and see what we think. So it is sticking out a little bit over here, but I can just trim that off. I want to see what it looks like on the inside. It's eating the wall right there. So you know what? There's no real history on this because Curve Boolean broke our history. So I am just going to make this skinnier and not. I usually do everything I can to preserve history. But when it's already broken because of command like that, and then this is just, okay, I know what I need to do. Undo, 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 undo. Undo curve boolean. Okay. This guy, we are going to scale out just a hair. And this guy we can't touch because that is defining our wall. Can't touch that, but we can always trim off that excess that went over. This just needs to get out of the way. That just needs to get out of the way. And then we need to make sure that all of these are intersecting. We just need to make sure they're intersecting. What did I do? Set Y. Must not have been in the center when I did my scale 2D. That's intersecting. That is not. So we need to extend this out. That's clipping. Okay, let's do the curve boolean again. Turn off the control. Curve boolean. Yeah, it's missing all those. Let's do all regions. That's my default, all regions. Okay, dump that onto curves. Let's isolate it and look at it. Oh no. Undo, undo, undo. To here. Okay. I did something funky with these interior curves, so I'm going to delete them and remirror this. Mirror that to the other side, and then mirror that across the bottom. What am I doing? I need to turn off control. I need to take that, curve Boolean, all regions, boop, 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 boop. It's not getting this. One of those days. It was getting it till I moved that wall back. There we go. All right. Looks good. We go to extrude curve. Self-intersecting curves. How do we have self-intersecting curves? I feel like it's somewhere in here. So let's rebuild that. We are going to need maybe 21. Let's go 25. Okay. We want to make sure that is on there. We want to make sure that is on here. Now, those should have history. Oh, I wish Curve Boolean had history. Let's see if it'll work. Extrude curve. Does Rhino have a command show self intersections? You know what? If I extrude it, yes, 0.9, and then look at it, it may show me where the issue is. Show edges. No naked edges, no non-manifold edges. So where was the intersection? Where was the self intersection? Delete, or no, remove all naked micro edges. None removed. So where was the self intersection? It appears to be gone. So, and then the curves need to go on the curves layer. And I think the dog may have to go to the bathroom, so I might have to pause the stream here in a second. But I want to get through this. Unisolate, turn on our base layers, take that flow onto there. Let's go back shaded. I'm not worried about how it extends over. That'll go away. I'll just lop that off. What I'm really trying to pay attention to is the interior, where it meets the interior wall. And that's why I scale 2D that wall out, is to make sure that it's basically the same intersection with this wall, but now this doesn't stick through. And then anything on the outside of here, I'll just trim off. All right, I like it. I think it looks good. And what I should have done is not used the same curve that this wall is based on. To make this, I should have offset it and started with something that I could edit, because if I could edit, I could just bring this in and not have to trim this off later, which I've had 4 opportunities in a row to fix. Prongs are sticking through a little bit. I need to adjust that. So I have a prong flow here. Prong flow. Oh, I turned all layout off instead of just base. Prong flow, which is what flows the prong I made into space. 2 ways I can do it. I think the easiest is just take this curve, turn the points on, and just move that up a little bit. And now prong's not sticking through the bottom. So that just leaves the split shank, which is pretty simple to do. Let's grab a shank from over here, pop it into our file, import file, keep my current blocks. Do not change my blocks because that will break all my block history. And we don't need that. Did I already have a shank in here? I did. I already had a shank in here. Okay, so shank flow and base. Let's see. Let's turn all the prong stuff off, except for the finished prong, because we're done with that now. Prong flow can go off. Shank flow we need to deal with, because this is going to be a split shank. I want to take and rebuild that. Let's say 4, 5. Okay. And then we want to bring that somewhere in the neighborhood of, oh, I should have a guide here. So this is our, they want a deep V, which is kind of 9 to 3. So there's 3 o'clock. So this is where we definitely need to split from. So I'm going to go ahead and bump that over. This needs to be somewhere in this range. And this needs to come up to touch the head. Let's see. Such a tall head. What do we do here? Oh my goodness, that's very tall. How much space do we have to bring the whole thing down with? Where's the gem? So the bottom of our gem to the finger, 1 millimeter, but we've got this closed. But this gem is going to cut its own seat. So we could just use the gem to cut if we want to bring this whole thing down. But we're only going to be able to bring it down, like that's 1 millimeter off the finger. We could drop it by 0.5 millimeter. Loudest car I've ever heard outside this window, and it was going 2 miles an hour. It just could not. I don't know what that car was doing, but it was not going fast. Okay, so here's what we got to do. We take all this and we say expand sublayers. Actually, before I do that, layer states. There is a layer state panel around here somewhere. Layer state. So I want to save my layer states as they are right now. RN right now. And then I want to do all of them on. So I've got them all expanded. I'm going to turn them all on and all unlocked. Unhide all. Unlock all. And then make sure history lock is on. Lock children is on. I'm going to grab everything and drop it down by 0.5 millimeter, minus 0.5. And if, oh, I do not want this in there. That can go back to being hidden. I just want all my halo stuff. Okay. All of this I want to drop by 0.5 millimeter, minus 0.5. And it looks like it did it. Okay, so I must have done something right to be blessed by the Rhino gods for that. Well, it only shaved a 0.5 millimeter off. So I'm going to go back to my layer states and switch it back to the way it was a minute ago. So all that stuff can, and then collapse all, because this gets collapse all. Okay. Why did it reorder all my layers? I didn't tell it to reorder all my layers. So I go 0, layout, gems, cutters, geometry, and then default. Okay. And what are we working on? We're working on the shank. So I need to see all this. It reorganized all my layers. Oh God, why? We'll file a bug later. So I don't know what to do here. The split shank. Do I go cathedral and then have the V wedge in it? I think I got to go cathedral. That's just too tall to have. I mean, that's a. Let's go ahead and make that 2 millimeters off the finger. Okay. So this, I know it's my template file. I know it comes in at 1.8, so I can bump it by 0.2. And now that's a 2 millimeter thick finger rail. Let's have this intersect fully. And do I want to hit it on the cut corner? She wanted the deep V. That was in the notes on the job. Wants a deep V split shank. So I guess I can make it hit like this outside edge. And I'm going to make the top of it skinnier. So lock, no. Bring this in and bring this in. So make it skinnier as it gets towards the top. I really want to hit it like right at that angle. So I could do something like this, and then I'll blend it in later, but like I think that would look good if it just peeled into it right there. You know, just kind of disappear into nothing. And the split shank needs to start at the 9 o'clock position, which is right here. So I opened that up way too soon. So let's set that back onto our Y, move it up, and move this over. We want to bring that down. And then I'll just make a line like from the quad of this one up through like right. So I don't want to do that. I want to have this on the Y so that when I create my cutting curve, this curve to cut, it's just shy of the center line, and then I'll do a blend surf between these two. And this is where the blend surf would need to be. So that's about right. Let's break these points. And then just, I've got to come up with a better way to break things. Like it usually is pretty fast, but what I'm doing is rotating it by 45 degrees and then rotating it back. And I interrupted half the script. So I'm going to lock, no, move those, and then move these. And that, my old way of breaking objects was move 0.1, move back 0.1, and then that would break. When they added copy history Rhino, they also added a thing that if you just move with the gumball, it won't break history on something. So I had to switch it to something like rotate, but you saw what just happened there. It took forever. So I need to come up with a better way of breaking history. Okay, and I want to make this base thicker. Like, let's go 4 millimeters thick at the bottom. Let's make this 2.5-ish. And then let's go from wide to tall. Let's make this a tall boy. We need to start adding in some height here. So this is kind of the midpoint. If you look at for those of you that haven't seen my Shank layout before, Shank profiles. So I have 3 profiles for my Shank. There is a surface that they flow onto here. And then this is some blending. So this is a copy of this one, -1. That gives me that copy. This is a copy of that one. So that way, when they meet, when this meets the other side, there will be, it'll be continuous, except I need to put that on the Y. How'd that get off Y? So when these two meet, I'll have G1 continuity because this profile is a copy of that one. That profile is a copy of that one. Then these are tween curves. So that's a tween, that's a tween. And so it's kind of keyframes. I have keyframes here. And that's how all that works. So back to over here, we need to bump the height on this. So as we're looking at it from the front, it doesn't look too stupid. We want it to be nice and smooth going to the top. Hate history purge. Absolutely hate history purge. Never, ever, ever use it because it's not undoable. I might say break history and then realize a minute or two from now that, oh, that was bad. I want to undo that. I can undo my way out of my break history routine. I can't undo my way out of history purge. When I do use history purge, I will save small ahead of time because there's a good chance that I'm going to there's a good chance I want to like just scrap that and go back to my save file. Okay, so let's look at, I don't edit this here. I look at things while I edit here. How did the prongs get on? Oh, that was just hidden. Does it need to be taller? Does it need to be taller going into there? Well, let's, so this is, usually shanks go all the way around, so I want to have that continuity here. Here I do not want to have the continuity. So let's just take and delete that. Let's turn on all of our curve stuff, or our shank stuff, get all the junk. Delete that and delete these 3. Delete those. Delete. And let's do curve tween with 3 instead of 2. Put those onto our, I'm done with the gallery. I need to change back to, being on the default layer and figuring out what all is on this layer that shouldn't be. That needs to go into default. Okay. So gallery is done. I don't need to see any of that anymore. Oh, reordered my, I cannot believe it reordered all my layers. The only thing I want to see is the surface. The shanks need to be wider going up to the mounting. Well, I'm trading width for height. So I'm going fat and wide up to skinny, and then where it splits, I just want this to be a natural taper. And the other thing about using these, I can always, you know, stretch the stretch or compress how quick that taper happens. So let's go back to loft, 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 And we're going to use natural. That'll get our seam. And we want to do loose. And okay. And then we flow. Turn off our shank profiles. And then flow curve from here. Make sure stretch is on, ridges is off, preserve structure is off, and then go to there. And then we can put both of those onto the junk layer. Shank, junk. And then we take this and flow it onto our finger rail. This goes onto the shank layer, the shank surface layer, shank surface. And then we can mirror that around. Okay, so now this is an ever increasing, whereas before it got this hump in it because I had it set up for something different. We don't need that. And I'll do fine adjustment at the end. I just want to use history to do my shape finding, and then I'll trim all that away and let's go taller. And I don't need to see my shank junk anymore. And there's one other thing that I do with these shank profile. I'm going to hide that. Take this and turn the points on. Rebuild 2323. Okay, let's do 2323. Bend. There we go. Now that's going to match into it a little bit better. So we can take both of these and bump them just a hair. Wider at the bottom of the shank, tapering to the top. So wider here to make up for, like, I'm just going to copy that and paste it, which it has history on it. So lock no. So if I were to take this and overlay it onto here, like, I'm definitely getting, like, cross-section wise, I'm tapering. Area. So 526, sun's on my screen. 4974. So that's not a very linear taper, but I am, trading width for height. And I'm losing some as I go, which is the point. Maybe I can make this a little taller. Well, that's right between the finger. So I don't want to go between the finger right now. That looks like 2 1/4. size 2.4. Wider from the split to the ends. Okay, that would be making this wider. Did I do the right ones? I think I did the right ones. Does this side update? Yes. I can keep going wider. I see. I could keep going wider because it's wide here. So it is ever expanding, I think. So I peeled that in to match, but what I think I also want to do is take this one, rebuild, same thing, 2 3 2 3. Turn all the points off, turn these points on, take and just ever so slightly bend this one to the outside. I think that's what I want to do. Let's see how that looks. So now as you're going, I think I should be more aggressive with that bend. So now you're going along, it bends out and then it straightens up. I mean, that's the deep V that she wanted. Okay, I think I'm about to say done because I'm liking that. Could it be a little bit taller through here to there? So that looks like it has a nice slope. Let's just see what it looks like. Let's bump this up half a millimeter-ish. Let's check our width between the finger. 2.6, size 11 finger. I think that'll be okay. I feel like I'm being pedantic. Am I being pedantic? I think this is good. Let's do the thing. Let's, where's my trim curve? There's my trim curve. Okay, so we want to isolate this. That and that needs to go away. Lock, no, trim. Oh, Is there a seam there? There is. That's the problem. All right. Don't need that curve anymore. And then we want to do a blend surf with chained edges. So we need to go from there to there, and then from there to there. And just tangency. That's good enough. Okay, join that all up. Mirror that to the other side. Join that all up. And not going to happen. Let's try it anyway. Cap. No. All right. So I want to split edge. Split edge somewhere right there. And then just loft between this side and that side. Mirror that all 4 ways. Lock no, join all. One closed Polysurface. Huzzah. All right. I think that's it. Turn lock back on, trim here. Okay, I gotta cut out, I use this to cut it out. I gotta cut out a little strip to go in there so I can join Boolean all that together. But this is all stuff after I do my save. Like right now, all this has history on it. I'll save. I did this because this is a little bit more than a normal Shank, but usually I wait and do that after I save the file. So I'm going to go away for a minute, save the file, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to finish this off and take it into 3D Coat. So be right back. I can talk to you while I'm doing it. I just gotta file names and stuff like that. I don't want people's names showing up in here. Okay. All right, so that's saved. Let's do, let's cut out our little strip first. So I want to copy that and hide the original and then paste this in and take this, lock history off, join all that together. And then when I say trim with apparent intersections, no, extend cutting lines, no, trim. Dope. So it's that one that's not working. Okay. Do subobject select on these edges and the trim will work a little bit better. God bless it. Wrong button. Trim. Huzzah. All right, join that up. One closed Polysurface. Next. Well, usually what I do is I bring all this, I show all this, and then I say select open, and then isolate. And I work with that one at a time. But we're done. Join. Okay. So now we need to shave off this extra blue. And I think I'll just do it in 3D coat. I think it would be faster just to do it in 3D coat than try and do it in here. Okay, that's a different instance of Rhino. I just Alt-Tab somehow. Let's do select open. And none of it is, well, isolate that. Select open. Nothing's open, so let's go and throw this all to 3D coat. Okay, I need to hide the screen for a second while I import this. Okay. So here is our file. If you're ever, why have I never jumped on the Matrix bandwagon? I have, and I jumped off. I tried it again and jumped back off. I like the Matrix report. I'd like to be able to, you know, just have a report that comes with all my stone sizes in it. I don't like anything else about it, though. No. Smart history. Not very smart. It's been 2 or 3 years. Stellar called and scared me into updating my Matrix license, or else I'd never be able to again. And then they discontinued Matrix and changed it over to Matrix Gold. And I said, all right, Stellar, that's how you're going to play that. So I'm never going on to the Matrix Gold. I was on the, I had Matrix since Rhino 4. I first left Matrix because I was doing some championship rings that kept crashing Rhino 4 because Rhino 4 was 32-bit, didn't have enough memory for... I sculpted a snake head and put on top of a big, like, championship hockey ring. And that mesh for that snake head was just so big because I didn't know how to optimize space back then. Scale 2500. And I always have to do this. Import as child. Every time I forget. Hit apply. Yes, keep the same space and go to our fill brush. Anyway, so I went to Rhino 5 and Matrix has never been, you know, at the forefront of being up to date on Rhino versions. So I had to go to 5 to finish it. I had 56 rings to do, all with different names and player numbers, and it was the same base ring but different finger sizes. So I went to Rhino 5 to do it, and then really liked all the Rhino 5 improvements. There was history on stuff. The gumball. Rhino 5 had a gumball. Like, let's be honest. The reason to go to Rhino 5 was to have a gumball in your life. And like all my little shortcuts for working with the gumball, I still have them from like early on in Rhino 5 where I can relocate a gumball to anywhere I want. It has gotten better. They've, like, you used to have to set your X and Y. Now if you just set the origin, it'll keep the same X and Y. They've done little improvements like that. But this gumball, I got aligned to view. So if you're, yeah. So now when you're in a view, the gumball will, I added this because that was in the T-splines gumball. If you used a lot of T-splines, you know, the T-splines had the view. So I had a hard time going back to Matrix and Rhino 4 because I really wanted the Rhino 5 stuff, but I had never done anything out of a Matrix builder. I was very new. And then once I figured out how to do it without a Matrix builder, I figured out that every time the Matrix builder didn't do exactly what I wanted it to do, that is our reluctance. That Matrix is always behind Rhino. Yeah, it's always behind. And Rhino has bugs, but Matrix is buggier. Their Boolean and mesh thing, pretty great. That's a pretty cool feature. But I gave up on doing Booleans in Rhino a long time ago. I haven't done any Booleans in Rhino. I have 3D coat, which gives me a very good mesh to send to the printer because I used to have a SolidScape and I had to use a mesh out of 3D coat for the SolidScape slicer not to crap its pants. Rhino has a gumball, but I think he shuts it off. It's a pain in the ass sometimes. Who turns off the gumball? No, if you click on the gumball tail, if you click on the gumball tail, this little white ball, that's your gumball menu. And anything in here you can get to from the command line. So if you watch up here, I'm going to say set gumball to seaplane, set gumball to object, relocate gumball, snappy gumball, smooth gumball. Like everything in this little tail you can get to, but it's annoying to click on. So I have a hotkey to do all of these things because I use them constantly. I'm always moving the gumball to a different location. That was a weird location to move to, but you know, sometimes I want to work off the curve off of this end. So I'll put it over here and I've got project on, which I have a hotkey for that. But yeah, gumball is awesome. You really like. There is not one thing in here except maybe drag strength, because if I need to adjust the drag strength, like if I want to move this by not a lot, here's how I adjust drag strength. And then I can look at it over here in a big scale and move it on a very tiny scale over here. See, I'm adjusting my drag strength by doing that. Escape. You're 4 months into Rhino, so you keep getting surprised. Yeah. Rhino has a pretty good, if you're just getting started in Rhino, let me see something here. Give me a new tab. So if you, I'm going to hit help and that'll bring this up. So in here, I guess it's video tutorials now, but that's not what I want. Gosh, I was just showing this to somebody the other day. Go back. Backspace. I was just showing this to somebody the other day. Online users guide. These tutorials. Okay. So like, just read this. Sorry, let me do something to this. So turn this. Okay. Do this. Take the quick tour. The online users guide. You do all of this, and then the tutorials down here are really good tutorials that will step you through making this thing and then this thing. Like, they've updated it. I did the Rhino 5 one. Oh, me and Joseph had it. This is on YouTube somewhere. Me and Joseph went. Joe, were you in the chat? Do you remember doing this with me? We did a man versus man. Joseph did this his way, I did it my way, and we raced each other on making a dragonfly, and that should be on YouTube somewhere. Some of these are different than the ones that I did back in the Rhino 4 day, but these are all good tutorials to go through. And then once you do that, once you go through all of this, the next thing you do is, like, just remember, PJ Chen is selling online courses. I found he leaves a lot of detail out of the free vids. Yeah, and I have never watched, like, fully watched one of PJ Chen's videos, but I will tell you videos that I have watched, which in the Discord under the excellent learning resources, there are some videos that I've saved. I would go and watch those. I get really suspicious of, like, jewelry only tutorials, because sure, jewelry has some specific things, but you really want to learn surface modeling. And once you learn surface modeling, then you can go into history. And then as you're, like, trying to think of how to build something, there's no back button on this. This is really frustrating. Go back. Oh, because it's opening in a new tab. That's why there's no back. Okay. So if you come down to, oh, I know how to get to it. Let's say commands by function. Let's go to array. If you click on array, it says this is history enabled. And if you click on history, you can see all the commands that have history, right? So once you learn surface modeling, then the next thing you do is come in here and see which commands have history on them, and then try to use those commands to build the thing that you want to build. And as you do that, like, I've gone here and read each one of these. I just read it out loud over and over and over again, thinking in my head, how could this help me make this thing with history? And, you know, you come across things like project to C-plane. Oh, I could just project a C-plane and it will always be loose, right? You have project, but the thing that you will never learn in a PJ Chen, and I'm generalizing here, but the things that you won't learn in jewelry only tutorials is that there is a loose button on project, right? And that's how I made this halo where all of these curves, like if you look at these ISO curves, they all line up. Which is more than just an aesthetic thing. Like they all line up, so my flows are all going to line up. Like this surface, each of these surfaces go together because their ISO curves match. And I only did that because I did project loose. And that is something that you will learn in a surface modeling video, loose, and you won't learn in a jewelry tutorial video. But that lets you do interesting things with history, like have one set of controls, one set of curves, control this, one set of curves to control the shape this way. And you can't just do that. Like curve to view, never used it. I don't use curve to view. I use project loose. And then you don't have a curve that has, oh, where's a crazy curve in this thing? Like, look at how many control points are on this. Yeah, there's lots of commands have a loose option. Oh. Where is... Okay, I went to history enabled to see history. Okay. Pull has a loose, project has a loose, project to C-plane will always be loose. Rebuild. Did you know that if you do get something like a funky curve to view, so let's say I just do something like this. All right, that's my one view, and then I'll do another. Okay, and if I want to do a curve to view on these two, curve from two views, I will use this command just for a quick thing. But look at how light my input is and how heavy that output is, right? It doesn't need to be that way. But did you know that rebuild will let you not delete the input? This is a feature request that I got put into Rhino. Don't delete the input. So I can rebuild that as a, let's select the master curve, this one, okay? So it'll have the same points as that one. Not deleting the input, tell it okay. And then this is the one that I'm using, and this one, come on now, that's not fair. That one goes onto a junk layer, set layer junk, so you don't have to see it. And now you have, well, needs to go this way for the view to update that way. Now you have history, and these curves should all match. I don't think this one does, but I can rebuild, select master, this one, and I do want to delete that input. Okay, so now all these curves have the same point count and degree. And if I say loft, loose, do not simplify, now I've got a surface that has the same point count and degree. I know, and that's another reason why I put things like the color coordination on my layers is very important for when I get into that situation that the oh, I put it on Shank junk. See, now when I click on it and it doesn't know which one I want, I can see, well, that's a junk one. Do I really want the junk one, or do I want the lighter color one? Like, there's a reason that my layer colors are this way. And there's a reason, like, I'm pretty quick about putting things onto the layers they need to be on, because otherwise this turns into a ball of nightmare very, very, very quickly. As much history stuff as I'm doing, like flow and pull targets, I put under layout. Gems is just the stones. cutters for the gems, cutters for other things, and then geometry. I didn't bring my sprue into 3D Coat. Doggone it. Export to 3D Coat. But yeah, I would get into real big trouble real quick if I wasn't on the spot about okay. Let's go back to, and I need to make sure that my Wacom is mapped for this because I just redid all my screen stuff for showing this on YouTube. So hopefully the pen maps over. Okay, corner to corner. We are good. The pen is mapped. All right, so what is first? I want to, let's turn off the shank and deal with the gallery sticking over the side. So I'm going to go over to the carve menu, turn off steady stroke, turn on my symmetry, X and Y, and then I'm just going to come in here and carve this off. This is something that I really do not like about 3D Coat. You have to invert the carve tool before you can start carving with it, which is just kind of silly. But this is faster than doing it in Rhino all day, every day. And I just do it until that is gone. And there you go. Now there is a mesh error in Rhino that I think is part of the gallery. It is, but that's okay because I said I was going to round all of these off before we get started. So here's the easiest way to do that. I'm going to resample this with, let's say 60% of the resolution that it has now. Change that over to smooth. Tell it okay. All right. That already got rid of those little mesh errors. I want to clone this just in case I need to come back to a copy of it. But I think all I'm going to do is smooth all, smooth all, smooth all, smooth all, smooth all, smooth all, smooth all. All right, let's turn the head back on. Oh, the head has some holes in it too. Now that's kind of rounded over, looks cleaner. All right, let's do the head. Let's see. Do I want to resample it or just smooth all? I do want to take down this outside edge, so it'll be fine. Smooth all, smooth all. See, it takes longer because there's more, what do you call it? More voxels in this. You can resample down to like 0.8 or something. Tell it to do a smooth job of resampling, and then smooth all will work a little bit faster. This is called 3D Coat, and I do have a video of using it to supplement Rhino. For jewelry, it's great because we don't really want hard edges on things, so smooth all button just to take and put a little fillet on each of these joints so we get a clean casting is wonderful. Rhino likes to leave very sharp corners and has problems with doing fillets and stuff. That's all right. I'll just bring it in here and do it. I want to put a little bit of a fillet on this. Just bring this in a little bit. And then smooth out that. I don't know why I'm worried about it. I'm going to drill pilot holes through all this. You're not going to see that it's not a perfectly smooth fillet. And it's going to be on the inside of a head. Am I a bench jeweler as well? I am going to set this emerald. Does that count? I don't have time to work at the bench, but I only do things where if it breaks, I don't want to make somebody else have a bad day. So I'm setting this emerald and the next emerald. But then I'm letting go of it. My setter will do the... I could do this. I could take this to completion, but I'm not. All right, so let's add the gallery to the head. Merge with the head, and I don't need this. I made a clone of that just in case I went a little crazy with it, but I don't need that. So let's get our symmetry back on. It is, and then I'm just going to fill in a little bit of these joints. Turn this down. Just give that it just makes that joint strong. Ruby, you can't bump my arm while I'm writing, girl. I'm gonna have to take her out. I think she needs a walk. She's being very aggressive with the pet me's. I don't like that. So Phil was a little too aggressive. I'm just going to smooth. That was a little too aggressive. Make this smaller. And then smooth in here. Fill there. Fill there. And then against the wall. And then on the underside of these, I get real aggressive. So I'm going to make that, because I want a good strong attach point where you can't see that I'm putting some meat on it. But I want a good strong attach point. So I'm going to add a little extra on the side that can't be seen. Okay. And I don't care about what these joints look like from the top, so I'm going to add some extra meat there too. You seem to have a lot of bench knowledge from your design approaches. Yes, I've done Blaine Lewis's bench training classes, which helped me out a lot in model making, because I think about how the setter is going to do it as I'm making it. So I always make sure I have enough room and stuff. Does this help the 3D print as well? Sure. A lot of stuff that like, not so much here, but a lot of times, like, I'll take on the underside of a prong and add an extra fillet so I don't have to put a 3D support there. I don't have to put a support for the SLA printer. The prong itself just has a little extra metal to turn a corner. Actually, what is my delete this? What is my angle here for this surface? That's kind of a shallow angle. So I might want to... Where would I put a support in here? Because this stone is going to cut out. I might want a bar support right here. I might want another one. God, I should have thought of this. Okay, I want to take and just isolate this. Doing those in Rhino can be very frustrating. Fillets. I try whatever I can not to do a fillet in Rhino. It's not McNeil's fault per se. Fillet is just like such a difficult thing to make a universal version of, and I have used other programs to try and do fillets, and I can say like some of them are better. Some of them do a better job of filleting than Rhino does, but not to the point where you could trust it. For jewelry, for a lot of mechanical engineering stuff, the fillets and other program are good enough that you can trust that will pretty much always make the joint that you're wanting to make. But jewelry, sorry. Like this, I don't care what program you put this into and tell it to do a fillet. One of these edges is going to fail. Like, and I've tried Fusion 360. There was another one that I had a lot of hopes for, but they were just missing too many tools. They had a good fillet engine. Oh, it's been several years since I used it. I can't remember the name of it. I'm going to pipe this. Let's see. I think 0.8 is good enough on the diameter for that, and it'll be smaller than the 0.9 we're using for this. And I need to make it not, I've filleted that, so it'll be hidden by that joint. And then I want to take that curve and that pipe, copy it, paste it, make sure lock is on, rotate 90, and then where do we want to stick this one? So I want it to go out for sure. Points on. Let's see. It needs to go up. That I want it nuzzled in the crack. And then where can we get this? Ideally, I'd like it to be in the midpoint of this kind of shallow, angle. It's not going to look the best from the underside, but I don't know how else I get I don't know how else I get this in here. Doing. It's such a shallow angle. I have to put a support there. And I think it'll look better this way than if I try and add a support later and cut it out, because I'll never be able to clean that up. At least this way I can fillet it into the surface. And because this is closed in, I'm going to sandblast the whole inside of this. So the inside will be sandblasted matte and the outside will be high polish. So I want to take and put these, grab these, and I forgot last time to show my sprue. Take that and dump that to 3D coat. And then you look at something like Moto that does fillets just beautifully because it's sub D, and that's why people are wanting sub D in Rhino, so the fillets can be built in. I don't think I'll ever be faster at sub D than I am with NURBS. Even though I know fillets are much easier with sub D, it will just take me longer to model those things if I had to do them in sub D. So I do not want to do them in sub D. All right, let me bring in those extra things I just added, import into voxel space, apply. Okay, so we want this, our sprue can hide. Go back to fill. And this default needs to merge in with our head. Okay. And now I can take and fill in here. So there's a printer support that now becomes a structural support. We do the same. We want, thicken it up more on the back side and then a little bit on the front side. And then just kind of expand that out. All right, is the stream still smooth? YouTube is flashing warnings at me right now. Okay. So we've done that. Next, let's put our shank on and smooth that in. So I'm going to merge the head, which was downsampled, in, or should I do? Yeah, I'm going to take the head that was downsampled, merge with the shank, which is not downsampled, and now they'll all be back at the higher resolution. Okay, good. Oh, damn it. Undo. So this shank, I need to do some scraping on. Carve, invert. Okay. Now merge the head with the shank. Merge with shank. Okay, and we got pretty close on getting this kind of continuous, but I'm going to make it actually continuous by just filling in. I'm going to resample this because it's going a little bit slow. Let's just take it down to 0.8. Okay. And then I forgot to smooth these in. I did the tops of them, but not the bottoms. And we want good, strong joints. There's nothing really to do on the front side because it's in here. Okay. Let's blend this in. That looks like a good blend. If anything, there's a little extra. I had a little bit too much extra metal, but that's what sandpaper is for. I'll take extra metal. especially here in the corners. So when we're using the strumming thread, that's not thread. We use it's a flat, wide. I think they call it tape. It's like it's cotton, but it's wide and flat. And I think they call it some kind of a tape in the fabric industry. But when they go to strumming there, it eats at the corners if you let it. So having a little extra metal there, not a bad idea. All right, next we want our prongs in because, well, let's see what these cutters need and what these cutters need. Okay. So I'm going to do those first and then add the prongs in. So subtract from shank, subtract from shank. All right. And then I just like to, these are fishtail cutters. So when they have an interior wall, I like to just not make that a sharp corner. The setter might need that metal for something because he's going to split it there. Okay, let's add the prongs. Merge with shank. And I am going to go ahead and do something because this always comes up later. I'm just going to fill in, make a fillet here because I'm about to cut it away with the actual stone. So sometimes I don't make this quite big enough and it won't touch the stone. Let's see. Subtract from shank. Okay, it was big enough. It ate. No missing pieces there. All right, so bend these two guys back. Stone should just plop right in. Then lightly move them back forward and then trim them up and stone set. And an 18 karat should be an easy job. I don't like how sharp this is, but I think I'm going to leave it. I should have done this and had a straight wall going to it. I did not. I'm kind of regretting it now. Oh, you know what I could do? That's a not difficult thing to solve. I've got a curve here. Let's lock the gem. Copy scale 2D, bring that into there because that's really all that I want to cut off. Hide that. I just did copy scale. Copy scale off of 0. Lock no, scale 1D off of 0 up to there. Okay. Quad array, extrude curve. And I just wanted to go through where it intersects the seat. All right, now let me look at this with the head. It needs to be a little bit bigger. I'm not touching that corner, so No, give me that curve. Doesn't matter. Make that a little bit wider. Okay, I want it to just barely cover the wall so that I won't have that sharp angle. It'll have enough of a seat. That's so hard to see. Okay, I've got a wall there. I'll have a little bit of a wall there. And that was the sharp side. So if I have a wall there, I'll have a wall everywhere. I think I need to make it just a little bit wider. Export the 3D coat. All right, let's take this and subtract it from the shank. Okay, now it's not a sharp edge. It's got a flat wall, which is, I prefer that. This is a little thin, but it's okay. And we still have plenty enough seat all the way around. So good enough. And you can see where the culet's going to rest. I'll cut that a little bit more. How did I do the gem shape? I scanned it with the 3D scanner. So this is usually what I do. I turn off my symmetry. I use the emerald to cut the seat, so I don't have it anymore to put in the picture. But I do this. And I grab a picture. Oh, my mouse cursor's in it. I grab a picture. I grab one. I grab the top view. Let me put the stone back in it. Doggone it. For one, I just can't go fast today. Export to 3D coat. Go over here. Import this. Apply. Let's set this to a green color because it's an emerald. And go back to fill. You can see the dop stick where I scanned it. And if I really wanted to make a nice picture, I would clean that up. But this is just for thumbnail viewer when I'm looking through CAD files that I have something to look at. All right. So from that sketch to that, somebody tell me how many hours it took me. Which going into this, I didn't know how I was going to do it, so I knew this could take a long time. The others are, I can tell you exactly how long they'll take me, but I'm curious, how long have I been going? Looks like I started 2:30 and it's 6. Is that right? 3.2. That's not bad. 3.2 hours for something with 64 stones. I took the time to give everything its own, you know, this halo is not flat. It's got a slight curvature. It'll read flat, but no two stones will be in the same, no two stones have the same normal. So when light hits them, they won't all sheet, you know, all be in highlight or all be in shadow at the same time. They'll take turns being shiny, not shiny, shiny, not shiny. So 3.2 hours, I'm not ashamed of that. Last Saturday, I was pretty ashamed at what I accomplished. But that ring turned out way better than I ever thought it would. I should have got pictures of it because it was, I did not know how that thing was going to turn out. And I actually loved it. Yeah, that's the emerald. Like it's oil only, very nice color. That's the center stone is 15. I think this is like an extra 3 for this stuff. But it's just a really, really good emerald. Nice dark color. The next emerald we're working on is the opposite of this one. It is twice as big, and I think it's valued at $200. Yeah, so the next one is be fun to set. Your dog friend probably doesn't think so. Oh, yes. How should I do this? Should I just like mute the stream and go walk the dog? It'll take me about 15 minutes, or should I just restart the stream, stop the stream and restart it? But I've got to take a 15-minute break and take the pupper. I did my screenshots, turn that off, turn that off. All right, I need to turn that into surface mode, turn the shank into surface mode. They need to be in the same group, I think. Turn symmetry off. So for the shank, we want to decimate that. I resampled this, so I don't know what number I want to use. Let's try 85%. 400,000 polys seems like a good amount of polys, but we'll turn on the wireframe, and what we want to see is on a flat surface like this, we want to see big triangles, which we have small triangles. And then on a round surface, we want to see tiny triangles. So we're seeing the tiny, but we're not seeing the big. So I can decimate that more. Decimate, let's go to 88%. 325,000 polys. That sounds better. And now when we look at this flat side, we are seeing some bigger triangles there. And when we look at something with curvature, we're seeing plenty of tiny triangles. That looks like the good balance we want to be at. So that's decimated. And then for the sprue, I know that I just take that to 99 and it is fine. You know, it's all flat except for this, and it can do skinny triangles to get around that. So 99% is good. And I don't care what the surface finish is like on the sprue. So that's it. I'm going to turn off the screen so I can save this out real quick. And then I've got, it's 6 o'clock. Damn it. Stop and restart. I'm a gem cutter and my dot pot has sat heating all day. Yeah, I feel you. Okay, I think I'm going to call it for today. I'll prep some more jobs when I get back from taking the dog out. And then tomorrow I will, if you looked in the Discord in the announcements and saw like the picture, of all the jobs I've done the pre-CAD work on, I've got little sketches of what all we're doing. Most of them are 15-minute jobs. Most of them should be 15-minute jobs. So we'll get them all finished up tomorrow. And then I'll get them print and cast next week. .stl, I've got that saved. Do I want to simplify the mesh? No, I already did it. Okay. Yeah, I can show you the picture. Okay, so these are the jobs that I have to get done this weekend. So we did that one. This is the next emerald. This is the opposite emerald from this one. It's bigger, 8.1 4 carats, but it's like a $200 stone. It is. I am really afraid to set this thing, but so the original reference picture she brought in had all the stones on the same line. I talked her into moving it to the top third. She likes that idea. Just a flat fishtail. There's our stones. They want it to go from 930 to 230. This is one that will be interesting because it's, you almost want to say it's a bezel with mill grain, but it's not. It's just like a bunch of prongs where you have two shared prongs, but we're talking like 0.3 of a millimeter wide bead prongs. It's not mill grain. It's not a bezel. These are I'm gonna have to treat these like prongs to get this done, where you have two shared ones in the center. I've never seen something like this before, but they had a sample where they were doing that, and they really like the way those come together. So that one I'll have to figure out. This is just a fat fishtail. So I usually have 0.15 of a millimeter on a fishtail. This has 0.5 and it's eternity. So all the way around, that'll be fun to print. And then this thing, I don't know. So it's 2 rows of stones with one on the end and it's open in the center. 26 stones total. I have 29 to choose from. I don't know. I don't know. Mill grain lip around the edge. I mean, it won't be hard to do. I just don't understand why we're doing it, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Go back over in your hole. Okay, so that's what we're doing tomorrow. If you guys want to stop by, I'm just going to start, when I'm catching up on the weekends, I'm just going to start turning stream on, and because I got to do the CAD work anyway. I don't mind like answering questions as I go. All right. Well, that's it for today. We got 1 done out of 6. And see you guys tomorrow.